Hey fam, how are you? You're watching ESP Speaks. I am so glad that you are back. And tonight, the subject matter is a little stranger than normal. So I'm going to treat it in a whole different way. Normally, I'm very structured and we go through where you can watch us. Well, we're on YouTube, by the way. We're also on Instagram Live. We are on Facebook Live right now if you're watching me, and we're also on Twitter Live. In the event that you can't stay with us the whole program, and this is going to be short because really I'm coming at this show because I've been getting a lot of emails based on a video that's kind of ticking people off. So I said, you know what? I told one of the readers who wrote to me, please send me the video so I can take a look at it. And they did, and I'm going to have you look at it because I want to know what you think, because it's starting a whole conversation, and the conversation is, are we practicing divorce? That's the basis of what he's trying to say in this video. There was some validity to what he was saying, but it was just a snippet, so I had to take some time to look at the whole broadcast and, see where they were going. Anyway, I like to get into whatever you guys think is current, plus what is actually current. So we're going to take a look at, are we behaving in a specific way that is cultivating our relationships ending in divorce or pushing our relationships to divorce? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of set a tone because the question is today, are we practicing healthy dating rituals or are we cultivating divorce? Now, in so many cultures, there still exists the practice of arranged marriages. And these sometimes are where children know each other growing up, but the families have already said, he belongs to you, she belongs to you. The families are usually intertwined in a business fashion. Sometimes it's for the growth of both families. Whatever it may be, the children have been promised to each other. That's in some cultures. In other cultures, you have a practice where the children are fully grown, and now they're using the matchmaking skills of the parents, which in some cases makes a lot of sense. For the most part, your parent is the most interested party in your entire life. So, and I'm talking about in good, healthy relationships, your mother and your father are the best judge of your character, who you are, because they watched you grow, and hopefully they put whatever needed to be in you to grow into a good person. And in these cases, sometimes they're actually interacting with families that have a son or a daughter that want them to be in a stable relationship where the children can get to know each other and eventually get into a marriage situation. Okay. Now, that's the magic word. All relationships, as far as I'm concerned and as far as I've known, and this is how I'm coming at it, relationships are based on the fact that you want it to go somewhere, and most women that I know, again, I only speak from where I come from, want to eventually get married. That's the point of the exercise. I've decided I'm not going to handle this subject matter on my own. I'm going to call in a couple of people from a couple of different perspectives, and let's really look at this thing and see where it goes. So I've spoken about promised relationships. I've spoken about arranged marriages and matchmakers. And once again, these things are to the benefit, hopefully, of both parties. Moving into this day and age, what about the internet? What role does that play in? I mean, I have friends who they've met online, they've been in dating sites. Some of them are successful and some of them are not successful. But here's what I'm going to do. Let's have you look at the video, and then we'll go from there. Because what this guy, there's some truth to what this guy is talking about. I just don't think he's taking it as far as he could take it to give us a broader perspective. So take a look.
That word's not in the Bible, but the concept of what we call dating is honestly practicing divorce. It's like getting with people to then figure out if you kind of want to be with them, and then you get out of it. And then we're taught, like, as young people, like, try it as many times as you want to until you find the one. But what you've done is you've formed unknowingly a habit of getting into things and getting out of them.
Oh, wow, I've never heard anyone say that.
So what ends up happening is when you get into a marriage and you're like, they're better than everybody else, and oh my God, I love them, and they bought me the right ring, and you go all that other stuff. When it gets tough, you're like, the first reflex I know to do is get out of it.
Yeah.
And that's why divorce is higher right now than it's ever been. And the saddest part is it's almost the same in the church. It's the divorce. It's because we've used this tool.
Alrighty then. So you see what I mean. Now, again, in Western culture, we're telling people, kids, teenagers, young adults, there's so many fish in the sea. Go out there and sow your wild oats. Don't get too tied up. Don't go too quickly. Don't get so tied up in that person because there's so many other people for you to pick from. What he's saying is, if there are so many choices, why should we commit to any relationship when it's so easy to say, when things get a little uncomfortable, it's so easy to say next? And I think that's where the problem is in terms of where the interpretation on this is. As I said, I've gotten several emails from people saying, ESP, what do you think about this? And I think at this point, I would like to offer into this mix two people that I trust explicitly. This is their field as they counseled married couples, whether they be interracial, Christian, non-Christian, LGBT. They handle all forms of relationships issues. So I'm going to ask the Wonder Twins, is what I call them, Reverend Floyd and Carolyn Blair, to step in and let us know what their opinion is. Pastors, my question is, and I'm going to go straight in with this, my question is, first of all, what do you think? You've seen the video. What do you think about the video? Let's go from there. And then I'm going to just let you guys run.
Trying to say is that by the Bible teaches dating, and then dating leads to marriage, and then marriage fails, which is incorrect. And the Bible is clear about finding people that you're equally yoked with. So the analogy that I utilize is in the egg carton, because people are fragile like eggs. We're humans. So the reality, my wife and I were both eggs, probably in a carton, or both eggs generally. And so we got together, and even as fragile human beings, we worked it out. I think today people are getting together, they're eggs, but they're like artificial eggs. You know, like at Easter, you buy those things in the store that were fluffy and artificial in the plastic, or you find sort of like a rock or something. So people are coming together, you're a rock and you're an artificial Easter egg. Well, you're not even organic. You're not even real to each other. So when you're dating, you're sort of looking for something different. He and she may be a rock and you may be a fake egg.
I also think that his concept of you're jumping in and out of relationships, so there's no consistency or commitment to what that dating situation is. And I think that for males, many males have been taught, have as many people as you can have. Whereas with females, we were taught maybe to conserve, you know, how we flip back and forth, but also the fact that now today, everybody is trying to figure out, I want to get a sample of this and a sample of that and a sample of this. And therefore, by the time you find the one, you really don't know how to handle it because you're used to getting up and going. And so there's a little bit of truth to what he's saying. But when we pull it back to what we believe commitments are or marriage should be, you got to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah, don't blame this sort of demise of marriage the Bible. The Bible is teaching me that I need no. Society itself says, you should try to figure out, how do you know this person? Normally it's by dating. Now for us, traditionally it was we met at church, right? Those are the places: church, school, sororities, fraternities, community places. That's what people normally met. Now where people are meeting today is different. You met, you liked each other, you went on a date.
You courted.
You dated, you had courtship, you became hopefully friends. Hello, hint, hint, hint. You became friends. And after you had a friendship, you say, well, okay, my friendship is developing to a love. I want to be with this person for the rest of my life. Now I want to date them, marry them, and then 6 months after the wedding spirit or bliss is over, I don't want to be in here no more, and I want to jump. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
The online dating situation, for me, at first, I really wasn't sold on it because I felt that people were meeting, jumping in, and then moving on. And then, of course, breaking up and going along to the next one. However, what I'm finding is that because people are meeting online, taking the time to get to know each other, and let me say many people, because it's working twofold. So many people are getting to know each other, and then by the time they meet, now they can develop that friendship, courtship that you don't really see anymore, and then become committed. We have friends who met online and have been together almost 10 years, and I'm always shocked by that, because it was such a non-traditional way for people to meet. Now, however, we also know people who use online dating as a revolving door. They're just in it. They're just going back and forth and round again.
What's the movie? It's a booty call? Yeah. So let's be clear. They're using online dating as a booty call versus saying, I want to find someone that I want to have a friendship with and be committed, hopefully. Find someone who's going to be my balance, to be equally yoked, my person that I want to be with long term. And I would say, because we're in a traditional relationship, my wife and I, doesn't mean these principles don't work for non-traditional. Because we're living same sex, same problems. It doesn't change. You know what I'm saying? So people have to come to the relationship. Hopefully, like I said before, my pastor used to say all the time, at least get you in the same book, hopefully on the same chapter, and then finally getting you to the same page.
Come on.
If you're not in the same book, I always use the analogy of the carton of eggs. You an egg, I'm an egg, we're in the carton, we're going to shake up together, right? Hopefully together we'll make scrambled eggs or an omelet. Well, folk are coming together, as I said it before. You're a rock or a shoe trying to come together, okay? And
with all your baggage.
All your baggage.
With all your baggage.
You're trying to make it, and you're looking at it and going, well, the Bible says I can date and just dump you and move on, and I'm gonna slide into a marriage that's not going to work. No, that's you in your mind saying you've already started out in my wrong premise. No, you're trying to find somebody you can spend a long life with and committed to it. Once again, you're going to have mountains, right? Highs, and you're going to have lows. How do you deal with that? For example, there's a question after, if your partner comes to you and says, I want to be married to you still, but you know what? I want to change my gender. That's happened, right? See, when we first got married, that wasn't happening that we know of. But today, that's happening. So what do you do? What do you do? I don't know the answer, but the reality is if you started out in a committed relationship and you say, well, wait a minute, I still want to be married to you, but I want to change my gender. Now, that's a question you deal with as a couple trying to stay married versus someone saying, well, wait a minute, I still love you, the person I felt in love with. How do we make it work? Or can we make it work? Versus someone saying, well, that's going to end the relationship automatically and I'm done.
And I also feel that you have to come knowing sometimes what you want. Be honest about what you want. You know, he and I talk about it all the time, that we come with our hands up like this. Men come with their hands up like this. Women come with their hands down. And we need to get to a place where both hands are down, so you can say what you want, I can say what I want. Because mature people don't have to sneak, because you're able to speak your needs. So if you are dating, and that includes in a dating relationship, if you are dating, you should be able to say, well, look, I'm not ready for monogamy. I really do want to go here, there, and everywhere. Or I'm trying to feel my way. That's how you become committed, because you work towards being honest in that relationship.
And be honest, you know, we got married, 21, 22?
Well, I was 23.
Okay, yeah, I was 21 years old. So people say, well, how do you even stay together? How do you know at 21? You don't. You just have a feeling and they say, this is the person I want to be with. And in fact, we got married. I was still in the Navy. I did submarine duty. So I came.
And I was still performing, running back and forth, so all over the.
We got married. We had a civil ceremony in New York City with the mayor's office, whatever you call it back then. And then months later, unbeknownst to folk, we had a full-fledged traditional wedding. Because
he was stationed on the submarine and I couldn't figure out how to do it. So that's how we actually did it. But we also encourage people, sometimes you do have to do that. And especially now, since the pandemic and COVID and all of that, just go get your license. Why do we feel that people should get married? Because membership has its privilege.
Right. You know, and
we still date.
Right.
So that's also a thing. If you're going into the dating situation, date the person that you think you might want to spend your life with, and actually date them, which is the piece that I feel is missing, that courtship, and then get to the commitment.
We had 5 children. So even we had, our children were small. We would go out on a Friday night date, put our kids at one table on the other side of the restaurant, wherever it may be, McDonald's or something fancy. We stood on the other side of the restaurant and pretended
we were on a date.
Look at our children on the other side throwing spaghetti at each other or whatever they were doing. And people would come and go. Sometimes the waiters would go,
these are the most well-behaved children.
I said, give them the bill. They were like, can they afford it? Give it to them. They'll be fine. But you have to do those things that keep the spark alive. Like I said, traditional, non-traditional, I'm going to say same sex, same problem. Whatever you bring to the table, you bring to the table. Whatever messed up relationships you've had in the past, you bring to the, whatever trauma you have, you bring in that in.
You bring in the back.
Honest with the fact this is new. You know what I'm saying? I may be a bit terrified, but work at it every day. Don't just say, well, I'm going to work at it on Tuesday and not work at it. No. Every time you get up in the morning, God bless, right? Work the relationship. We invented something called do-over. Do-over is you get in an argument so bad that you know the next thing you say is going to be horrible. We go, okay, wait a minute, hold it.
Stop. Do-over.
Get a game. This is a game. What's the game?
I don't remember. We used to play that game.
So do-over. Let's start from the beginning. What did you actually say? Because sometimes my wife says, I can't hear anything. I hear what I want to hear. I'm honest. I don't know. I hear what I want to hear. My daughter said, Dad, here's some items for you and the kids, some gloves. Because I go to the gun range, so I'm always looking for gloves that are tight on my hand that I can utilize. All I heard was,
they're his gloves.
Daddy, these are yours. and the kids started calling me, Daddy, didn't Victoria give you gloves? Oh, those for y'all? I didn't hear that part. All I heard was, Daddy, these are yours. And I took them off.
And that's something that I feel that even while dating is extremely important, to pay attention to what things are being paid attention to.
Right.
Because you are going to struggle with communication, with your own wants and needs.
Right.
So that really is an important part of dating.
So by having, you're going to have an argument. Okay, so to be our process is, let's get a do-over. And do-over allows us to reset the tension level. go back to zero. And honestly, do a do-over. Don't hold on to what was said. Let it go. Because you know what? Life is really too short. We say that honestly because we are ministers. We counsel people at near-death experiences. And they're like, I wish I should have told so. No. Call them now. Get them on the phone. Okay, get it out. So why not just do it in relationship? It's a do-over. We're going to start over because what I heard and what you actually said and what it meant are two different things. And that has helped us tremendously. And we teach that to other couples. And let it go.
Let it go.
Well,
look, we're 36 years plus 5 years dating and counting.
5 children with 2 houses, 3 dogs, 3 cats, goldfish, with all that stuff, and each time we had a child, it changed our relationship. See, so you people don't account for that. It's not going to stay the same. No relation stays the same. It should grow like a tree. You plant a tree, it should sprout roots, and the fruit of your tree will determine how, right? You got to bear some fruit. If your tree is bad, you get 0. But if your tree is good, the vines will stretch out, it'll grow stronger, and you can help others. So we try to do this on a regular for traditional and non-traditional because it's the world in which we are living in.
So now, family, give you a different perspective at this time. I have Marquez. He's a divorced, straight male. And I'm going to let him tell you about the experiences that he has gone through because I know him personally. And this is one of the best men I've ever known. So for him to tell you his story right now, this really is going to add some insight. Ladies who think they know everything, to men having feelings. So I'm going to shut up now. And Marquez, thanks for coming on and letting us hear this story from you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So where do I begin? I would like to start off by saying I'm not here to bad talk my ex-wife. I'm not here to degrade or be like it was all her fault. Absolutely not the case. But what I am here to do is discuss what led towards our divorce. And it's funny because you always hear these things about how you want to have that dream, that love, and that dream relationship. I've known her for over 23 years. She is exceptional when it comes to the type of woman she is. She's a go-getter. She's ambitious. They always tell you that what you should do is write down everything you want in a partner. And after you write that down, think about, are you worthy of that person? So don't go crazy about what you put on that list. But some people say, oh, he needs to be fit. He needs to have 6 abs. He needs to be blah, 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 blah. But are you compatible to that type of lifestyle that person is living? But that's number one thing that I've noticed that was the problem. So I had this list and she met everything that was on this list. And I looked at this list and I said, yeah, this is a match. This is going to work. Well, doing the whole Quentin Tarantino thing, later on in the future, I realized my list had flaws. My list did not she showed me what I needed that was not on that list. And I might not have been something that was not on her list. So let me give you a perfect example. Communication. Communication is so incredibly important in a relationship. Now you hear everybody say, yeah, but no, it's 2 parts. You need to understand how to speak to your partner and how to listen to your partner. In my particular case with her, every time she got upset or angry, all the rules of engagement goes out the window. She is quick with her tongue. And let's be honest, words do not have receipts. Let me repeat that again. Words do not have receipts, because what you say in anger is sometimes taken as factual, and that is how you view me. In this particular case, she would go off the tongue. She would compare me to other men. She would compare me to her girlfriend's husbands. And she would just fly off the handle. Well, one thing that I can tell you that I told her is the reason why I put up with all of that was the fact that 24 hours later, she apologized. She realized that the situation was not that serious. She realized that she was kind of wrong in how she handled the disagreement or her confronting me about something. And for that, I told her, I was like, after the 6 words, I forgave you. And I put a helmet on and I tried to just get by all of every word that she could say, every hurtful thing that came out of her mouth. You know, I just dealt with it. And then I knew that after 24 hours, she would apologize. But let me tell you something about that. This is where that is a problem. By doing so in that particular manner, what I did was enable her behavior to feel like she can talk to me in any particular manner, to feel like, you know, in the moment, in the heat of the argument, she can just fly off the handle. And I didn't set boundaries for that. Now, mind you, this is a woman that if she told me she did not like blue jeans, I would have wore black jeans for anytime I'm around her. You know, I would have done so much for her. And it became like I said, it became a situation where I enabled her behavior. So it is also my fault. And with our communication, because I enabled her to talk to me any way that she had, I accepted it. Well, after a number of these arguments, it became a situation where when I raised my voice, it shocked her. And then she played victim to the circumstances that she started or that she created. And that was something that was begun. Now I feel bad about it. And even when I say I raised my voice, it wasn't to shout back. It wasn't to curse at her. It literally was to say, you are right. I am wrong. I got it. I understand. Stop. You don't have to keep forcing the situation. Because this woman, to just try to push her point across, she literally chased me through 3 rooms, from the bedroom to my office, from the office to my car, to just keep nagging me about one thing. And it's not nagging. Let me take that back. Nagging is a horrible word. She was trying to get her point across, but what she was doing was kept repeating herself. And I'm like, I got it the first time. But in her past, she brought a lot of her baggage from her past into our relationship. So when she felt like because I was avoiding conflict, I wasn't running. I needed time to process what was being said. And 90% of the time, I was like, you're right, I'm wrong. I accept that responsibility. I apologize for the situation. But once I say that, that should be it, you know? But of course, from her past, it became a situation where, no. Let me explain why it's wrong, why this was the situation, and then continued.
So she had to make sure that you understood the lesson that she was trying to teach.
Correct. But let's be real.
Let me ask you this. Let's, because we're in the marriage. You're a special case because you actually got into the marriage.
Yes.
And now are divorced. Mike,
yes.
The question in this video that everybody's been arms in with is, are we teaching men to not get as far as you got? Because it's so easy. Let me back up. Did you recognize some of these things in the beginning? Because there are a lot of red flags that go up before we get to the point that you got to. Did you see the red flags and ignore them? Or did she just have the representative that was so good before you guys had your first fight that you didn't even realize that she was capable of this?
Both. It was actually both. Again, I accept my responsibility in this situation. I ignored the red flags because I put myself in that situation with her. I put myself so far into the relationship, even though I saw the red flags, I'm thinking, oh, you know what? If I do everything she wants me to do, then what would she argue over? If I be the band she wants, why would she have to argue? If I'm being a good provider, then then why would she want to argue?
So you were trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
Yes, but again, my situation with her, it's not because it's literally she's a good person, but together, we did not communicate well. We were in a blended family. She basically, because we're in a blended family and I'm living with her, 3 kids, her mother, dog and cat. The problem was I'm trying to juggle all these different personalities. And because I was already in so deep into the relationship at this point, it was me just trying not to have an argument. If she wanted to have something, I got it. If she needed something, I did it. I mean, this is coming from someone that, you know, I'm a high earner and I took care of bills. I gave her half my check of every check, not because I'm a simp or anything, but because of the fact that I wanted to put money in savings. I wanted money to be here. I wanted money to cover X, Y, and Z. When I say I'm being a great provider, I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do. I gave half my salary. I gave half my check of every check to cover the bills, cover expenses and everything else. But here's something interesting. She would tell her friends that I was not being responsible with paying bills. Now, saying that particular word, most people think he wasn't financially giving into the relationship. He wasn't handling the bills. He wasn't handling expenses. He wasn't doing his part. This is how bad our communication was. She told me this. I'm thinking, okay, I'm not creating more bills. I'm not creating more, taking more electricity or adding more gas or anything like that. I'm giving more than enough money for groceries and everything else like that. She was telling her friends that, and her friends were thinking that. But what she meant when she said that I wasn't being responsible or I wasn't paying the bills properly was I wasn't logging on to the what? That was what she was communicating. Now, that totally sounds different than what she says.
Well, technically, she said what she meant, but it wasn't what it meant to everybody else who she was saying it to.
Exactly.
So what were your issues? Because right now, I don't want to get into the brush of everything. We're getting into the weeds of everything. I really want to keep you in the place of where the lesson is so we can convey that lesson out to the family that's watching us. That first of all, there are sensitive men out there. There are men that want to be in relationships, and there are men that are willing to work at it. So this video really is not broad spectrum. It's just a random thought process. If you're willing to do the work, and you are willing to do the work, and we're doing the work, the person has to come and meet you part of the way. Right. And she was not coming to meet you part of the way.
Well,
am I right or wrong?
That's perspective. Because in her mind, she thought she was doing everything that she was doing for the relationship. Yeah, absolutely. And see, that's where the problem comes in. Are we building men to, like what you said earlier, for divorce? Technically, kind of yes. And the reason why I say that is because you've heard of the love languages. Was it words of affirmation, service, time, touch, and gifts? Well, if I gave you my if I gave you my top 5, my 5 in the order of priority from most important to the least important, that is how I might receive those. I'm sorry. That might be how I receive love. But the way I give love might be totally different. How she gives love versus how she receives love can be totally different than that top 5. Why do I say that? I think a lot of people don't understand that they're not having that communication that explains what it means to give love and receive love. It's not the conversation that if she feels like she needs to hear, I love you, day after day. And he's like, well, I told you I loved you last week. She will interpret that you're not saying it as a negative. So, and the guy, he wants touch, or he might want service, or he might want something. And if he doesn't see it, now he's comparing you to someone that he used to receive it by. And now he's having thoughts about you, not really caring about him. But that's a conversation that needs to be had, a deeper conversation that needs to be had. Just like we have kids. How do you be a parent? What is your parenting style? What is my parenting style? How do we agree to what we want to parent this child together? Whether if it's your child together or it's a blended family. Those are deeper discussions that need to have. Now that leads to another issue. Well, what's the formula for relationships going horrible or going bad, or it's just no longer it's not worth the time? And it's almost a formula. I did not make this up. I am repeating what the formula is, which is expectation minus observation equals frustration. Frustration times time itself over a period of time equals resentment. And when a relation hits resentment after trying so hard, that is literally toxic poison or whatever you want to call it. It's in the water. Now, over a further period of time, it just becomes even more toxic within the relationship. And that once you get to that point of resentment, it's hard to come back from resentment. It's a woman with resentment doesn't want to have sex with you. They don't want to do extra stuff. They might go through the motions of certain things. They might continue to cook for you. They might do X, Y, and Z. They don't want to touch you. They don't want to, you're not helping them around the house. You're not taking responsibility financially, or they are overly taking care of responsibility financially. And if the guy's not doing his part, the woman doesn't want to be touched. The woman doesn't want to do nothing with you. And then there's guys. When resentment hits the water, he will look for somebody that makes him feel the way he wants to be felt, even if it is shallow. Let me repeat that again. Even if it is shallow. A woman says, "Oh my God, you look great today." Or I see you're really trying. And they're speaking life into him. His attention is going to look the other way because he's not getting that at home. At home, he sees conflict. And we're always talking about somebody is supposed to be our peace. I agree. Women and men should be each other's peace. But if, like you said earlier, if two people are not doing what they're supposed to, then you put the formula in place, and it's only a matter of time before the well becomes toxic. And that's where you don't want to be. And go ahead.
Because it's a lot. I mean, you have grown. Like I said, I've known you for years, and I'm so heartbroken that you had to go through any of this, because as I said in the beginning, you're one of the most wonderful men that I've ever known.
It took that relationship for me to be the better person that I am today, because it taught me to ask the questions. It taught me proper boundaries. It taught me I am not listening to you to just hear you. I'm listening to you to understand. And when I listen to understand, that allows me to process and come back to you honestly and say, I can do that. Or I don't know how to do that. And believe me, the men out here today, especially these young ones, it's a situation where they don't know how to properly date you. They don't know how to properly stimulate your mind. They don't know how to plan ahead. I'll tell you right now, if you did a poll right now, when it comes to taking a trip, who plans the trip?
The women do.
Mostly women do.
Yeah.
Who pays for the trip? Another point.
In my world, the women do.
Well, not really, but in some cases, yes, I agree with that. Real women do. That's not an issue. But interesting is like when my father, my uncle, and almost any man that I've ever looked towards for advice, they all say the same thing. At least the old school guys do. What you did to get them is what you must continue to do to maintain them.
Exactly.
So a lot of men, I tell them right off the bat, stop advertising like you got money. If you don't have money, stop prioritizing things that you are going to turn around and then resent women later. But technically, it's not their fault if you provided them the answer that you are the person who's going to be the moneymaker in this relationship.
If you came in doing it, we're going to expect you to keep doing it.
Exactly. Come with something more than substance of money. Because let's be real, there are a lot of wives out there who are married to people who have money and are miserable. Don't use things like that to try to trap people to get them in there, because really what that is a power. Oh my God, power and position in relationships. If I'm supposed to be your sword and shield, don't stab me in the back.
Oy.
When you're with some pettiness.
Say that again.
If I'm supposed to be your sword and shield, do not stab me in the back, because it makes no sense. Because when I turn away from looking at the world, and now I'm holding the shield and sword against you, that's resentment.
Wow.
The resentment is there already. Because now I should not be facing the world and taking care of all the responsibilities that we need. And at the same time, I got to question, who is it really that I'm protecting?
Wow.
Not every man is your ex. Not every man is your previous boyfriend. Don't bring negativity. If you know, take the time to heal before you jump into the next relationship.
And
because
that was my next question. Where are you in the healing process? Because there's something to be said for being by yourself and seeing things for yourself. Oh
man, I was about to tell you right now, there's a lot of people serial monogamous. they move right on to the next person without taking the time out to understand, what is it that you want? What is it that you need? And it's funny because I tell every woman, I tell every man, when you know exactly what is it that you want, you realize that the pool of people that are out there shrinks. It shrinks greatly. And in doing so, you're not willing to just accept anything. That is very, very, very important. So in my situation, let me tell you what I'm going to call it a trauma. Let's call it. Let me call this a trauma. Let me explain why it's a trauma for healing. My divorce, somebody asked me, would you get married again? Absolutely. I love being married. The security, safety, support, someone being a rock. If I drop the ball, she picks it up and runs. And then maybe all I have to do is just block for her. Or if she drops, I pick up the ball and I run for her. You know, we are a team. It's a us situation. You are my partner. We are equals. Now, I'm not even going to get into that whole argument that people have, but she's my equal. I love being married. I just happened to marry the wrong person. And in doing so, and I'm saying that she wasn't a good person. She will be a great wife to somebody. But with myself after the divorce, here's the issue. I took the time out to actually just be by myself. And it's so funny. When you meet people after down here in Atlanta, you get into that whole situation. Oh, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days? Oh, what are we doing? Are we in a relationship? Are we doing this? That? No, we're not. I went out with you because we are just friends and we are getting to know each other, and I'm not rushing into a relationship. But here's the reason why I call my situation a trauma. It is not that I am afraid of someone coming to me and talking to me, and that, you know, I'm getting vibes that this might be the same person. No, it's not. My problem is I don't trust myself. Remember what I told you in the very beginning when I said that I had this list of everything that I wrote down in the relationship? I had this list of everything that I wanted her to be and have, and how we can, you know, be compatible and just move forward. It's because of that. Now I'm afraid to talk to anybody because I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself to feel comfortable. I don't trust myself because this person has everything that I want. But guess what? My ex-wife had everything that I wanted. I don't trust myself to open up as much as I did, because things that I've said to her in confidence, she used as ammunition during arguments. I cannot trust myself to talk to someone, because this is really huge. When you meet somebody, you're meeting their representative in the beginning. You're meeting the person that they are projecting towards you as being the choice. You know how they say, what do you bring to the table? And she says, I am the table. This is true. That's all easy. Everybody wants to go to the party. But who's there to prepare for the party in the beginning and clean up at the end? Who's there to show you the level of responsibility that they have for you? Or a person having that responsibility for me in my life that can say, hey, Marquez, what are you going through? Let me see what I can find out. Let me do some research. Let me be there for you. That Martin Luther King quote about the character of a man is not defined during comfort or good times. I'm metaphoring at this point. But the true character of man or woman comes when there's obstacles, comes when there's conflict resolution, comes when there's problems and how they interact with you during those moments. I've met many amazing women that when I say their resolution for conflict is a freaking communication, it's awesome. Like they say, let's come to the table. Let's talk. They'll say, we need to talk. They say, come here. And they sit next to you and they're like, so what do you think how could we have done this differently? How could we have done this better? What are you dealing with? How can I help? What do you need? And again, the man says the same thing, because imagine that instead of telling someone that they're beautiful and telling them all those wonderful things that they want to hear in the courtship, but rather, how can I invest in your dream? How can I help you move forward? How could you help me with that? Let's have a discussion about what we want to work on together. Let's work on a business model. Let's talk about, how can we work together and continue to build on our communication. So in my particular case, I don't trust myself because I meet some awesome people, but I haven't had conflict with them. I haven't had those deep conversations of how to do problem resolution with them. But what I can do, and on my end, if you're going through something, what can I do to best support you while you're in that frame of mind of thinking? Do you just want me to step back, give you your space? Do you want to talk to me? And if you talk to me, it doesn't matter what you say to me. I'm not going to get mad because I'm allowing you to feel safe in this communication circle between us. And that's what we need to build. That's what we need to grow with. So trust me, there's been, there's people, I've been called gay. I've been called whatever, because their paradigm of chaos is what feels normal to them. And when they meet someone like me, that's not drama, not chaos. I set up my boundaries. And again, it's just that many people that are not out there for me. And I'm just waiting for someone to give me all of that.
Wow.
To give me what I need. Yeah.
Well,
as well as I can give them.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely.
and we wish you the best. And I know that you will one day find that person for you, because as I said, you're like one of the greats. So Marquez,
thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Family, as promised in my emails, I would take the time to take a look at this from several perspectives. I've given you a divorced man, I've given you a married couple, and now I'm going to give you a multiple divorced female. In my case, it wasn't that I was with men that weren't willing to work through the circumstances. I had more of a dysfunctional series of relationships where in the first one, they were a beater. In the second one, there were alcoholic traits that for 3 years of dating did not show up as being dangerous, because whatever he was doing outside of the dating process in terms of excess, he wasn't showing me, and we did progress towards the relationships. But once again, some of us are built to stick it out and work through regardless of what's going on. But there has to come a time in the relationship where you say enough is enough. And those were the relationships that I was in. So let me say this. In my conclusion, there's nothing wrong with being single. Not everything has to end in a marriage situation. Sometimes there are relationships that are meant to be long-term friendships. Some people are better off in friendships. There are others that they're not really made to live with other people. But okay, for those of you who are a Christian and want to engage in sexual practices, you know that there has to be a marriage situation, as well as in the Muslim culture as well, there has to be a marriage. When it comes to the legalities, if you have a partner, as the pastors Blair said, if you have a partner, when they pass and you've been in a long-term relationship, if you don't have that piece of paper that states that you've been there and are legally there, you're going to have a problem. So all in all, my statement to you with regard to this theme of the show, take your time. Everybody seems to be rushing into relationships nowadays. We're all so desperate for the affection, especially during this COVID phase where we've not been interacting with each other in terms of touch. So now that we're able to come out of these shells over the last 2 years and actually see each other and be with each other, things are moving at an accelerated rate. Take your time. My mother used to say, if you're dating a man and you're looking at marriage, marriage is supposed to be forever. So if he's here today, he's going to be there tomorrow and the next day. So what's the rush? Take your time. See if it's all for you. Ask the right questions. And how you figure out what the right questions are is you sit down, write down what you need, what you feel, and prepare the questions to be asked. If you're afraid to ask a question to your partner or the prospective partner, then you're with the wrong person. If you can't sit down and have a quiet, calm, relaxed conversation, then you're with the wrong person. You have to be willing to look at the red flags, but you don't look at the first 2 red flags and say, I'm out. If you're really genuinely interested in the person and they are interested in you, because it goes both ways, sit down and take the time. Some of y'all are doing this relationship thing all by yourself. You're in a relationship with them, they're still dating and running around. So you have to make things clear. You have to set your boundaries, what hurts you, what you like, what you don't like, and hear what he likes and what he doesn't like or she likes and doesn't like. And you have to be fair and balance it out. I wish you all the best of luck. I thank you all for being with us. Please do write in and tell us what you thought about this episode. Comment in the comment field. Remember, if you want to watch it again, we are on Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Anchor with Breaker, Radio Public. There are so many other platforms. In fact, just type ESP Speaks, Google us, and it will give you all 19 platforms that we're on. We're actually on Facebook. You can rewatch us again, and you can also rewatch us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Please jump on over to our YouTube page, click like to subscribe. Let us know there what you thought about the show. And if you have any suggestions for a show, or if you want to be on ESP Speaks as a guest, please let us know, because we'd love to have you. I hope you enjoyed the show today. as much as I enjoyed being with you. And remember, we don't think you're ordinary. We think you're extraordinary. And we'll see you next time on ESP Speaks. Have a great week.